Hi, Stefania.
How are you?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. It is Friday.
It is Friday
So
to you
I would
guys.
like to say happy, fun, fresh Friday. Welcome.
Yes, happy fun, fresh Fridays, and welcome to everybody who is joining us alive this beautiful
Yeah.
day. If you're here in Australia, Melbourne, the sun is shining gloriously. It's amazing. Beautiful, beautiful spring day. And you're in your
Hmm.
fall. Is that correct? You call it your fall.
Correct. Yes, we're going into winter in about a week.
Oh, really? Of course,
Hmm.
December. So you've been in a
Hmm.
fall for a while. So is there real seasons in Tennessee? Like, is it? It's not like North, like
Oh,
Connecticut and
thank
beautiful.
God.
And thank God.
I don't like snow.
Hmm. I know you've had enough of that, haven't you?
Yes. Yes.
So your winters are mild there.
This is our first winter, so according to everybody, it's mild. Yeah. So we'll see.
Mm.
We shall see.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we have a great show ahead of us today. Because
I'm
if you
so looking
just
forward to it.
joined in, and if you've watched the past 2 episodes, Zanetta skillfully surprised me and put me on the
Wow.
hot seat to interview
Yes. Hey, Monica.
Monica
Long
Reed.
time
How
no
are you?
see. We need to
Mhm.
have you on the show soon. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
And,
I'm sorry. I'm
it's okay.
stalling.
You're stalling, you are stalling, and so what happened, just quickly for those that haven't watched our previous shows and wanna go back and watch it, but Zanetta interviewed me, and when we were talking about influencers and how well do you know your influencers, and what do you really know about them? Do you just know what you see? Do you think that that's their real life? Do they have another life behind that life? And pretty much the answers for the above questions are yes, they do have other lives, and of course, influencers will only show you a certain part of their life, which is fair. It's a fair call, don't you think? It is a fair call.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we do want to know more, and we want to get close, especially if you have an influencer that you follow, listen to, quite regularly, and you build this virtual relationship because
Hmm.
that's what it is, right?
That's exactly
And
what it is. Yeah.
a virtual relationship. And so, yeah, today I am going to be asking Zanetta some questions because she asked me some questions about my business and how I started, and yeah, the rough patches I had. And I guess I'm going to be doing the same thing with you, Zanetta. And
Hmm.
I know I've known Zanetta now for 5 years. It's coming up to our anniversary, Zanetta.
Yes.
And 5 amazing, beautiful years. And for those of you, that don't know or know, we've never actually met in person.
Hmm.
We've been this strong,
Virtual.
yeah, we've had this strong, beautiful friendship virtually. But for me, it doesn't seem virtual. I don't know about you, Zanetta, even though I've
Ooh.
not ever met you or hugged you or,
Yeah.
given you a big kiss. I feel like I've already done that. I feel like, I've known you for years and years, and the day we do meet, because we are going to actually meet in person,
Yes, we are.
I think it'll be just like it's been like that forever and ever. Like it won't feel any
Yeah.
different. Yeah? Do you feel that?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same.
You feel the same? And this is really special. Um, it is a special friendship, and it's a special connection. And I'm sure a lot of you have probably experienced that or have that. And if you do, let us know. Drop a line on the feed as to whether you have experienced that. So I have built this amazing, beautiful, friendship relationship with Zanetta. And of course, over the years, I've gotten to know her a little bit more and a little bit more. And just like any relationship, it's like an unpacking. It's like this, unveiling of, oh, really? You
Mhm.
did that? Wow. Like, and you just can't fathom or imagine that person having endured so much pain or gone through such an experience. And but this is what makes friendships and connections so beautiful, I believe, because it's this beautiful unveiling that's not done all at once. It is done, you know in time, because everything,
Mhm.
there's a time for everything, and an occasion. So I think that's what it's been for us, and I've savored every moment, and will do till we part this earth. But I'm sure that if people believe in soul connections or past lives, I'm sure there's been something there. If we were to go down that route and discover Zanetta, I'm sure we're comrades in some kind of battlefield or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
um, all right. So, Zanetta,
Yes.
now you are, how can I describe it? A rainbow of all these colors. Yeah. And when a rainbow, like, comes in strong, and then it sort of slowly fades and it changes colors, and you kind of got this beautiful blend of color about you. And I really don't know where to start, but I'm going to say, you've done a lot of things in your life, and maybe
Mhm.
we should start with that. What where did it all begin? I know you're not from the States. You've
No.
lived most of your life in the States. You're originally from the Philippines.
Mhm.
You had a very colorful life in the Philippines, and then you chose to leave it. So, can we start in the Philippines? Is that okay with
Ooh,
you? And of
okay.
course, your origins as well, because you're Filipino born, but of, you know, both
Oh,
parents, one Filipino and one, from the United States. So let's start there, I think, because that's a great start.
okay. Gosh, we're gonna start in ancient history. Okay. So yes, I was born and raised in the Philippines. I am number 8 of 9 kids. So I'm the first girl after 7 boys, then it was me. Um, so it was different living, in the Philippines. I I embrace the culture. I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy you know, uh, the. I think that's where I get it from, because Filipinos can be very forward. They're
Hmm.
very forward with when they speak. Um, no filter. Some of them do, but majority of them don't have filter. And then, I'll leave the other drama story uh, later. But I wound up becoming an actress in the Philippines.
Hmm. And how did you do that, Sanetta? Like, how did all that sort of, come about?
So
And
I
how
was,
old were you? How old were you too? Because you were
I
quite
think I
young.
was, yeah, I think I was 12. I think I was 12, 12, 13.
Mm.
When I got discovered, I was discovered by, a family that is in the movie industry, and they came to visit. One of them was dating my brother, and they came to visit. Where we lived, and where we live in the Philippines is a very beautiful place. It's it. A lot of people go there for vacation, so a lot of Filipinos go there for vacation. And so, yeah, I was discovered and told to pose, and they took pictures, and the rest is history.
Wow. And how did you
I
feel sorry?
Yeah,
Go
but I
ahead.
did not like it.
You didn't like it. I was just gonna say,
No,
how did you feel about that?
no.
Did you feel like you were kind of pushed into it or like
Yeah, I was thrusted into it. Yeah, I did not like it. For one, uh, my friends, started treating me differently. Like a celebrity. I just want to be treated, like normal when I would come back to school because I was still in high school. So I would leave, I would leave for months on end to do movies, things like that. And then I would come back to take the exam, and I would be treated like celebrity. I just wanted to be treated normal. I just wanted to
right.
be, because being American, half, or what we call Tisay, which is half American, half Filipino, you're already treated differently. You're already put in a higher pedestal
Mhm.
than if you were just a regular Filipino. So that, and then my height, I'm tall for a Filipina. And then to top it off with being, in the movies and making movies, and, that just pushed me all the way up. And I just wanted to be invisible.
Wow. And the more invisible you wanted to be, the more highlighted you were, obviously.
Yeah.
Mhm. And so, uh, what kind of were they, movies in the language was Filipino or were
Yes, Tagalog.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what kind of movies were they? Were they romances? Were they like
So, Filipinos love drama.
mhm.
And back in the day, in the 80s, I'm the 80s, movie star, they have this trend of, we call it bomba stars, which is,
Bomba stars. Wow. Sounds pretty Italian.
God.
Bomba.
You know what? What is it? What is it? What
In
is it
Italian
translated?
means like bomba means like amazing, explosive, like a bomb.
Oh, okay.
What's
Well,
it mean?
in the Philippines, it means like, it's taboo.
Oh,
Sexy
wow.
stars. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's what, and all of us, um in that era, all of us started to have double letters, the same letter, the first name and the last name. So mine was Tessa Toison, which I am just now revealing it. So yes, you can Google.
Wow. What was it, Zanetta? It was Tessa, did you say?
Tessa Toison, Tessa
That was your star name. That
Touaz.
was your
Yes,
star name. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So if you take the two letters, the initials T, if you say that to a Filipino, it means something. It means the male genitalia. It means
Oh.
penis.
Oh my. Okay. So, therefore, what?
Yes,
Um,
yes,
Monica
it
says, "What?"
means, yeah. So then another one came out, um, as PP and all of that. And so I would, I am the only actress during that time that caused a controversy. God. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was on the 6 o'clock news.
And you were on the 6 o'clock news.
I was
And tell
visiting
us.
my grandmother.
Mhm.
She's my great grandmother, Um, I was visiting her in Angeles City, and that's where Clark Air Force Base is. And I didn't even know. I didn't even know that I was going to be on the 6 o'clock news. So I'm there, visiting her because the next day it was the premiere of my movie, my first, movie, top billing, everything. And I wanted to let her know what the movie was about so that she would not
Freak
be
out.
heartbroken because I love her. And I wanted to tell her what it looked like behind the scenes, even
Mhm.
though in the movie it looked like something else. So, just to let you know, because I was underage, my mom was there, my dad was there. So, there were times where my mom was there, but then the majority of the time it was my dad. So, um, when I came there, my grandmother was like, "Oh my God, you're on the news." I was like, "What?" So I watched it and they changed the title of the movie overnight. Yes.
Two.
Because the title of the movie, which to Americans it doesn't mean anything, but to the Filipinos it means it was short time. So the title of the movie is short time. Doesn't mean really anything, right? But to the Filipinos that's taboo. It means so there's hotels in the Philippines that you can rent for a short
Short
time.
time. Oh. So she thought she was watching some porn or something, right? She was about
Well, that's the reason why it became a controversy because they were not going to show it unless the title was changed. And I wasn't told about that. So the producer immediately changed the title of the movie, even though it was already broadcasted. We were already, we had already, you know, did some advertising and showing up to TV shows and promoting it. So everybody knew the title, Short Time. Everybody knew it. So when it was actually shown, it was titled Tessa, which was my screen name.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that would have caused a bit of confusion everywhere because
Yeah.
putting short time and then Tessa afterwards.
Yeah.
Right.
So because the Philippines is a very religious, they're Catholic,
Mhm.
and that's a no-no. You don't know. It's called soft porn. So they, but it played. The movie played. Yeah, they're still
Interesting.
trying to reinvent it today. They can't do it.
Really?
So every now and again, my name pops up again in the Philippines, and yes, here comes another controversial, but the original is Tessa Toison. When yeah, so
Wow. And I didn't know that about you, Zanetta. Now that's another little revelation. Tell us
oh God.
more. Okay, so after this movie, like,
Mhm.
what happened then? Like, how did you feel about this? How did your parents feel about this? We know how your grandmother felt. She was like,
Well, like I told you, my mom and my dad was there, so
"Right,
they approved of it. I mean, I never really asked, my mom how she felt, but I knew how I felt. I knew I didn't like it. I knew I didn't want to be it. I don't, but I had a contract that I had to fulfill, so I had to
mhm,
fulfill 5 movies, and I did 5 movies. And all of them are, sexy bomba movies.
mhm."
And I just couldn't take it. I didn't like it. Yeah.
Mm.
So so I waited until I was old enough to raise my hand and join the military.
Right. Okay. So this went on for from the age of 12, 13 until 18, because is that the legal
18,
age to raise
yeah,
your hand and leave?
yeah,
So you
yeah.
did 5 years of this. So obviously you must have felt like, okay, you had a contract, but there was no one there listening to you or hearing you or
Oh, I
even
wasn't saying anything.
oh, you weren't saying anything.
No.
Right. You were just doing what you felt you had to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Zanetta, that's amazing. That's pretty powerful stuff that you endured there. So at 18, you completed high school. Had you started going to uni? What was happening? Or you were still like doing movies and then just said, I'm out of here.
Yeah. So I graduated 16, um, and then 2 years, uh, just waited, relaxed, stayed home and waited until it was time for me to join the military.
And how did that come about? Well, okay, because your father was from the US, so therefore you
Mhm.
automatically had a US passport, right?
Yeah, I
As
was born a U.S. citizen. Yeah,
yeah, okay. Even though you were born in the US, or were you born in the Philippines?
Philippines,
Yeah,
and
but you automatically have
Clark Air Force Base, which was a functioning Air Force base back then. So yeah.
mhm. Okay, so at 18, another
Hmm.
chapter of your life.
Yeah, join the military.
Tell
Yeah,
us more.
raise my hand. Um, you know, I think that's where my time where I just let everything go. I um, well, let me back up. So, being in the movies, the time is grueling. You have hours and hours of filming. Being on set, being in locations. So your hours are really grueling. So I was introduced to drugs, to stay alert, to stay up, and then drugs to go to sleep.
This is
So,
during the time of your filming in the Philippines, right? You're talking
yeah,
about, oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. My mom didn't know.
That
And,
was just to
and,
get you
and
through.
God rest her soul, she's not here to know about it.
Oh, geez. So we're talking uh, uh, like pharmaceutical drugs, or we're talking more harsher things.
Yeah, more harsh. Yeah. There's a pretty well known drug in the Philippines called shabu. It has the same effects of cocaine and meth, you know, yeah, crystal.
Mhm.
Yeah, it has the
Wow.
same effect. So, and it's odorless and tasteless.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course they are. That's
yeah,
why they make them, right?
yeah. So, so I went to join the military, and back then they're very lenient. They don't really do a lot of testing like they do now. Um, so they couldn't test anything from me because it was under my dad's last four, because that's how the military does it. When your child goes to the hospital, your parents' last four of the social is being used. So when I joined the military, they started to use my last four of my social to see if there's any documentation for any medical. There's none. Zero. Just my birth. That's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Which got you in nice and easy.
Military. Yeah. Really easy. Plus, back then they didn't, suspect anything. So when I joined the military, I still continued using drugs.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah,
was this, obviously you'd endured quite a bit through those 5 years of,
yeah.
movie making, doing something you really didn't wanna do.
And
There
then
was a
there's more to that story. That some things that I did not want to do. It's in my book.
Yeah, of course, that's right. Zanetta does have a book, um, she wrote. It is all in there. And it's up to you, Zanetta, if you want to talk about it because, I know you've spoken about it before, but
Mhm,
this is a sensitive topic. But I believe, sometimes when we talk about it, and I think, you've done public speaking, you've done
mhm,
presentations, workshops
mhm.
around it. So I don't think it's it affects you like it used to. You've done a lot of work on yourself and everything.
Oh yeah,
But anyone out there listening, you know, people have their own story and they can relate to someone else's story. And like Zanetta has done a lot of work and seeked help only because she went on this roller coaster ride.
yeah,
And that's what
yeah.
we do normally. We go on this roller coaster ride that forces us,
Mhm,
if we wish to take notice, to do something about it, to
mhm,
actually, you know, really take inventory to say, okay,
mhm.
I want to change something about my life. I don't know what it is, but I do know that I don't want to live this life anymore. So,
Yes.
Zanetta, having said that, it's up to you whether you want to share with the audience, you know, another part of your life that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So, like what I said, the sex beauties, during that era, all of us did drugs, all of us, and I one of them passed away from overdose. Um, one of them committed suicide, and so uh, because of what I was seeing and what was going around me, I just saw where my life was going. And not only that, um, not only, being put in these kind of movies at a very young age, I just wanted to go to school. I wanted to become a scientist. That's what I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a scientist. Um, but because of my dad, put me in these. He's the one that signed the contracts for me. I couldn't sign it because I'm underage. So I can understand Britney Spears. I can understand all of these other, actresses and that have been put in this limelight where their parents are, the adult deciders, and you have no say so, you know. So because the movies were, you just get paid one and done. That's it. That's that's it in the Philippines, one and done. Before, yeah, I mean, now I'm pretty sure now they have royalties. They have, but in the Philippines, if you made a movie, that was it. Whatever you got paid, that was it. No more. You don't get bonuses. You don't get any of these extra stuff. So, in order to maintain, I guess, the lifestyle, my father thought of creativity as to how to make money. Um, yeah, so he had me um, dancing at Gentlemen's Club, not Gentlemen's Square, at
hence,
a
hence, yeah, hence why
yeah,
this word gentleman always just pulls off a trigger, like, or
right,
has. Yeah, I get it
yes,
now.
yeah. So he would have me dance at Gentlemen Club, men's club, 7 club. I mean, I'm sorry, 10 clubs a night.
10 clubs a night.
7 days a week.
Holy Magoli.
So my 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 drug game went up. Even my
Imagine.
dad didn't know. Even my dad didn't know that I was doing drugs because it was one
He
thing
just thought you were a
about
star. He just thought, like, how is this woman? She's like, my little girl's just keeping up with this. I just got to give her more, right? I mean, because you were just 10 clubs, 7 nights a week. I mean, like, that's
yeah.
wow.
So I would be coming home about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning.
At
Yeah.
the tender age of
14.
14. Whoa. And it's all in the book.
Yeah.
So your mother was not aware of this? No one else was aware of this?
No, no, because my mom was in the province and we were in Manila. So all of that was going on in Manila. Yeah. And to make things, yeah, I've forgiven my dad. I have. Um, he also touched me for, since I was 4. At the age of 4. Um, I didn't know anything better. I didn't know anything, different. So this is what I was exposed to at a young age. So I'm thinking it's okay. So, I mean, there was something inside of me that was saying, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But because he's my father, and, I love him, he's supposed to love me. And I just went along with it until something clicked inside of me that said no. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would have been at the age of when that clicked inside you?
16.
10.
16.
Oh,
I
16.
was
16.
16.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow. So that really, yeah, because, that's what we're brought up to think, that we're under the care of our, parents, our caretakers. So they love us, they care for us, they
Hmm.
protect.
Right.
So anything that happens under that umbrella, we just think it's normal, right?
Right.
Until, you know, but interesting how your inner being was telling you, no, this is not normal. This is not right. This is something just doesn't feel right about it. Well, you definitely have been through a lot, and through your experience, you have then, you okay. So let's go back to the military. You went to the
Yeah.
military. This is, you've got guns in your hands. You war, battle, aggression. Obviously there was a lot of anger festering in there that had been suppressed.
No.
No, okay,
Surprisingly, no.
all right.
There was no anger. It was I don't know how to describe it. I think it was more like I had freedom that I could
Uh-huh.
do whatever I want, and so that freedom turned into not so good activities. Yeah, not so good activities. Men here, men there, men everywhere. Drugs, drinking until you pass out, don't remember. Yeah, it was a lot of activities that were that were not good choices. Um,
No.
yeah,
So thinking back now, to back then, and if you were to break down why that had then transpired into that, because, you said you were men here, men there. So you were having short-term relationships with them. There was this, they obviously didn't have long, steady relationships. So, and these men were being very, were very attracted to you, falling in love with you, and you were
Mhm.
just like flicking them
Yeah.
off, right? Aggressively,
Yeah.
being fiercely, you know, the wounded woman that just possibly disliked men or, yeah,
Yeah, I think it was more so. I wouldn't say wounded. I wouldn't have described it as wounded back then. I mean, now I would describe it as wounded, but back then, I was stone cold. Stone cold. Yeah,
stone cold.
yeah, yeah. Didn't
Interesting.
care. Didn't care about their feelings. Didn't care. Yeah, no, because I think looking back, I think it was my way of getting back. You know, it, instead of realizing the men that hurt me or took advantage of me at my younger years are not the same men during my military time or my freedom time, not realizing that,
No,
but we don't realize that until after we do some work on the inside and mature a little bit more, and we're like, ooh, that was not good. That's not a Yeah, that's why I don't like talking about myself. Because I have done a lot of bad stuff.
well, says who? Says who, Zanetta? According to who?
Me,
According to
myself, and I.
right.
Yeah, yeah, and I think hindsight 2020. Um, it was my way of expressing things because I didn't really speak much. I was very quiet. I was very quiet. Didn't speak much. Didn't talk. Didn't express my feelings. Didn't uh, you know let anyone know of my hurts, my pains, my no, didn't want to. This stone cold military fighting machine, that's all that they needed to know. Yeah,
And I'm sure you would have been fabulous at it because you had no attachment, right? And of course, in the
right.
military, it's got to have
Yeah.
this non-attachment type personality to do to do that, right? Would
Hmm.
you say that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how many years did you serve in the military?
4 years. I got out. I met my ex-husband. Uh, um, yeah.
In the military, you met him in the
Hmm.
military.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's when you settled down.
Yes. So while I was still I haven't met my ex-husband then. I wound up getting pregnant
Hmm.
with all of the stuff that I was doing.
Hmm.
And so I had my oldest, and then of course, they deploy you. They don't care that you have a child. They don't care, you know. So I was deployed to Korea, and while in Korea, the father, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna be with you because I already know. But he took care of her while I was gone. Um, and then I met my ex-husband and wound up getting pregnant again.
Hmm.
And that's when I got out the military and stayed home. And we got married and wound up having another one. So I have 3 kids and raising those kids.
And became a
My
mama.
my babies, yes.
And that would have been a big change for you, right? That would have like really.
It was a huge transition. It was, drugs, alcohol, men, sex, all of this, and from that switching to church, 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 church. Yeah.
Wow. That's right, because your husband let me get if this is right.
Ex.
He was ex-husband, sorry, your ex,
Yeah.
yep, was a pastor.
Hmm.
Now, was he a pastor when you met him, or he?
No,
No,
no, no. He was, just a regular,
churchgoer.
churchgoer, and then went from there. And we were diligent, and we were faithful, and went to church. And you would always see us in church, always, always. And went through the ministerial training, and he wound up becoming, first he was a deacon, and then went to a minister, and then to an elder, and then a pastor.
Wow. And during this time, you were obviously supporting him, and you dove deep into the church as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, what was your journey through that? Because I know you became a somewhere along the line a marriage counselor or a counselor.
Hmm.
Um, you were helping people in the church. Obviously, you were studying the Bible. You were like, and prior to that, you had, sure, you were born Catholic, but not really um, had studied the Bible or done the big deep dive, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't. So growing up, whatever my dad was, that's what we were. So he was bouncing here and there until finally he stayed with Buddhism. So I know about Taoism, Shinto, Hare Krishna, which was so harsh, um, and then Buddhism. But my mom was Catholic, and I
Oh,
kind of took on my mom's religion,
hmm.
and then but never had a personal relationship. Not saying that the others don't. I mean, but this is just me. Through my journey uh, through the religious side, the religion side. Um, when I finally got the I guess the transition, or knowing really that there is a God, it changed my view, my outlook. It was the only way I can describe it. It was like the hole that was missing. There was something. I felt like there was something missing in my life, and that's what filled it. God is what filled it. And I immersed myself in the Bible. I
Mm.
mean, really immersed myself. Yeah. So I
I
was
know
studying the
because
Bible.
there's times when you speak and we're sharing something and you'll pluck something out of the Bible, a verse or quote a chapter, a verse out of a chapter, and a story. Yeah, you're just amazing with the wealth
Yes.
of knowledge that you have.
I was blessed to have great leaders. Each of them had their flaws, um, but each of them had their own, strength, and y- you know, uh, their input in my growth. So I'm thankful for Apostle Pearson. He had us in Bible study for 3 years, making us think that we were. I was like, when am I going to be right? It's like it seemed like I need to get saved all over again. Yeah, so he had us, really turn internally, instead of judging other people. He made us look inside, and so his training, or his tutelage, his mentorship, his guidance, his pastoral was it's a great um, uh, part of my life, and how I think, and how I view things, and how I uh, interpret the Bible. He had me read. He had us read, the Bible from cover to cover.
3 times
3 years.
in 3 years.
Yeah. But I read it. I read it cover to cover. And even until now, when I read it, it's still something new. You know, I call it a living document.
Yeah.
Because one scripture can pertain to a situation back in the day, and then that same scripture can still give us the answer and the solace and the assurance that we're still loved by God. You know, yeah, it pertains to today.
And I know not long ago you did a talk as well with a
Hmm.
Christian group, which was
Yeah.
just amazing. So maybe if we can pull out that YouTube segment and pop it in the feed, because I would love people to see that, because that was just so powerful,
Mm.
so powerful. I just loved it. I watched it about 2, 3 times. It was just, oh my God. And it was just like God was just working through you. You know, your words were just flowing. Yeah, it was just amazing. So we must get that on the feed and
Oh,
share.
that's good.
Yes, yes. So this total, doing this 360-degree flip transition in your life, where you went from this wild, untamed woman
Yes.
to being this, you know, perfect wife, pastor's wife, if that, like you're really, um, I don't know what we could call it. You're being tested, you
Submissive.
submissive, yeah, like,
Yeah.
and that, to me, that just didn't seem, after what you had endured, to be your style. That wasn't you. Like that wasn't. So, what do you think? Kind of like, um, did you feel you had to? Did it take you back to a place of when you were younger, where you were, you know, had to do what you were told? I don't know.
Oh, well, so in the Philippines, our culture is to obey.
Mm,
We give honor, we give respect to our elders. So we have, we give a salutation for everyone. Ate means big sister. Kuya means big brother. Uh, Tita, tito,
mm,
lola, lolo. So even though we're not related, we will call them these, these titles, these salutations. So there's always a sense of, um, I guess, submission, respect, knowing our place, that they know better than us, and that we maintain our position in the hierarchy. So we don't, usurp, or, like here in the US, it's like, what did you just child tell you? What? Yeah, it's a shocker. But so in going into the religion side of it, and when I say religion, meaning, this is a ritual, not a relationship. Okay, so I'm gonna make it clear, um,
mm.
that it was a religion, and because I was new to it, I thought it was the right thing to do, even though inside I was like, this can't be right. This can't be right. Um, some of the things that I thought that were not right,
Like, for
like
example, give us some examples. What this can't be right. Like, what would you?
yeah. So I couldn't wear pants. I couldn't wear makeup. I couldn't wear earrings. I couldn't, you know, uh, there's a lot of certain churches or denominations believe certain things.
Mm,
There was some, churches that believe that if you're a woman, you need to have this head covering. And if you
yes.
didn't have that head covering, that dolly on your head, that means God is not going to hear you.
Yeah, I've been to churches like that. It's like this. yeah, doily, isn't it? Like this
Yeah,
veil.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. If that's what you believe, and then so be it. But I inside for me, I'm like, did they have that back in the day?
Yeah.
Did they have that? I mean, if we're talking covering, they covered because you see them with the hijab. You see them, even today. You see them, with the burqa. If they even go, really, deep into that belief or that religion, it is the burqa. You can't even see their face.
Mm,
Yeah. So inside, I was like, something. This just doesn't feel right. It doesn't. And also the discipline of the children. You know, it was harsh, and the wife couldn't say anything.
really interesting.
Yeah.
And this was evangelist. Like what denomination are we talking about here that you kind of your husband was a pastor to?
Pentecostal, and I'm going to keep on correcting you, X.
I'm in that back. I'm back in that time. Sorry,
Yeah, I know, I know, I know. I'm sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
just trying
yeah,
to like, wow. And Zanetta, that's amazing. Like for someone that had experienced that in the beginning, then had this freedom, and then felt like you were back in a cage. Did that what it feel like? Did you feel like
in
you were back?
prison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that went on for a long time, I believe.
20 years.
20 years. Wow. You did time. You did
I was sentenced. I guess that's karma, huh? That is karma for what you did. You are now going to be sentenced to 20 years. Yeah.
Mm. And okay, so tell us in those 20 years, that you were experiencing all this stuff, and obviously you furthered your studies. Let's not forget that. You went back to school, didn't you? And you
Yes.
share what you got some degrees.
Yes. I have a degree in fine arts. So I just, I had the talent. I had the natural raw talent, but I just wanted the technical side of it. So I have fine art, so I can draw, paint, and all that. But I also have a master's degree in pastoral counseling, which is a
Mm,
which is a theology. Yeah, it's Bible based. It's Christian based.
right. And
Yeah.
when you completed that, you then went back into the church and started
Oh
teaching,
no, this
right?
no, this was continued. I mean, we continued. We had became we became pastors, so we were teaching Bible study and preaching. Um, I was preaching, with women conferences, um, retreats. Yeah, the whole nine.
So tell me, what were you teaching predominantly, Zanetta? Because here you are in this golden cage, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
The world saw you, as the pastor's wife.
Mm-hmm.
He's your ex, we know that, right?
Mm.
But you're got the perfect family, 3 children, you know, everything's hunky dory. You're teaching women. What were you teaching women?
Well, the Bible is just that. It's truth. It's my belief. Um, so yeah, I would start to teach women obey your husband. Women be submissive. If you're in a impasse, you both of you are, not in the same page. Well, then the last say so is the husband, because this is what is right. Um, but and this is I don't see that view anymore. That's not my view.
Obviously.
Be, right? Because when you're taught a certain way, then that's how you do it. But then when you're left on your own, it's just like a job. Um, they'll teach you the basics, what you need to do, where everything is, and of course you're first reliant on who's training you. But then when you have that certain gift or that certain knack of, um, if you know Excel, if you're very proficient in Excel, if you're proficient in Word, if you're proficient in all of these other things, then you will apply yourself, and then you will enhance whatever it is that you had applied for, or the position that you're in.
Mm.
All the while, the person who was teaching you is not proficient in these things. And so it's making them look like, hey, I'm the one that taught you. So that's what it felt like.
Right. So it felt uncomfortable. It felt like it wasn't resonating with you, right?
Yeah, 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 it wasn't, because when we read a certain word in scripture, we can interpret it as to what is going on in our life. It never said be submissive, it just said teach the women submission. Big
Mm.
difference. It's a big difference. Yeah. And it said, women be submissive to your own husband. But what they failed to understand is that before that, as as your husband, be submissive. So it's including the husband. It's not excluding the husband, it's including. So, yeah. So this submissive is not subservient.
Mm.
That's not the translation. Submissive means respect. Give respect.
And that's where it's kind of misconstrued, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah.
And
So the more
it
I studied, the more I found out. The more I dug in, the more, it was being revealed to me.
mm,
Yeah.
exactly, which is where I'm going with this. It was revealed to you. So, obviously you were doing some deep inner transitioning growth. You were being enlightened in many ways.
Hmm. Yeah.
What happened then, Zanetta? I mean, coming up to 20 years, or was it earlier than that? All this was kind of like moving inside you.
Oh yeah. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. Because the Bible says, God hates divorce, which is true. That is fact. It does say it in there. Um, but there is a caveat to that. So when people say, well, God hates divorce, so therefore you're not supposed to divorce, no, that's not it. That's not true.
Mm.
Um, because who gave the freedom to divorce? God did. So
Right.
if God gave the freedom to divorce, then that means, yeah, you can hate divorce. Well, who doesn't? Who doesn't hate divorce?
Mm.
If we can all find a partner or find someone who we love and cherish and be married forever, until death do us part, then
Hmm.
yeah, then we'd be a great society. It would be a great world. But that's not a world that we live in today, no, or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Um, there's he hates it, but the thing that really got me is when I really studied that, because I was struggling on the inside. And what he really hates is you divorcing him.
Mm.
That's the real story behind that. Yeah. Because he was talking about Israel.
Right.
And Israel sinned again, and Israel sinned again, and Israel sinned again. And that's what the Bible describes. And so that when that sin, that there's a separation between God and man. So when their sin comes in, it separates. So that means there's a divorce. Yes, God does hate divorce, but he hates it when you separate from him.
I love that. I love the way you've explained that because people don't see it like that. They
No.
go
I
straight
mean,
for the literal divorce of husband and wife.
yeah. And they can go back and read the Bible. I'm not saying anything out of the way.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
You've studied it cover to cover. I believe you. And I know when you've gone
Yeah.
down that line and that
Yeah.
video, we've just got to get it up because that is just an amazing video. I want everybody to see that. It's just truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's another explanation about the divorce, to where and it's this is God's perspective, what the way God wrote it.
Mm.
God had sanctioned, because there's no such thing as marriage, right?
Mm.
Adam and Eve, no. There, it's a covenant. That's what it was. From God's eyes, it's a covenant. And a covenant is an agreement that this is what, that we are, together. And with the covenant, when you maintain the covenant, then you're covered. What do I mean by that? Let's say, a car, there's a warranty or there's a covering with the car, but
Mhm.
there's some stipulations. If you use the car correctly and something goes wrong, it's covered under the
Policy.
warranty, the
Yeah.
policy. Under that, it's covered. But
Mm.
if you do it, if you're using it for a different, and you misuse the car, it does not cover. So that's the same thing with marriage. If you have a covenant, because this is not a contract, it's a covenant. When you break the usage or what's intended for its use, you now have broken the covenant and you're now free from it.
Mm. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah. So God says, okay, I hate divorce because I really do. But if you want my covering, if you want, then you need to do it as intended. You need to use it as intended.
Right. So, back to you
That
as you were coming up to,
covenant
yes.
was broken. That covenant was broken because one party did something. I'm not yet have the freedom to speak about it, but I will. Um, uh, Broke the use of it. He broke it, so that freed me, and that was my
Right.
ticket. Yes, that was my ticket.
Out, out of that cage,
Hmm.
out of that golden cage,
Yeah.
and you flew out.
Well, no, I did not.
You
I
didn't.
did not. Yes, I was criticized and ostracized for even thinking divorce, for even speaking divorce, for even, um, you know, uh, so even though I didn't do the act,
Mm,
I was ostracized because I was the one who was speaking divorce. I was the one who wanted to end the marriage. I was the one who was saying, I will not be subjected to this kind of treatment because I believe that God doesn't have us subjected to that kind of treatment. How dare you subject me to that kind of treatment?
mm,
Yeah. So I was, I lost a lot of friends, which probably they weren't really friends in the beginning.
exactly. Yeah.
But I tried to work it out. I did. I tried. I begged and pleaded and said, we need to go to our apostle. We need to go to our pastor. We need spiritual guidance. Why do we have a God if we're not going to use him?
That's so. That's true.
Yeah.
Why do we have a God if we don't? If we're not going to use Him?
Yeah. If he's not going to, if we believe that he cleanses us of our sins, why not go? Why not go to him? You know, and so, you know, it was said, yes, we'll do it. Well, yes, we'll go. And then, but the next day it was like nothing ever happened. It was all in my head and it was a lie. And yeah. So that was it for me. Now I was like, yep, nope, nope, not, nope, 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 nope. I relinquish all of my duties with the church because I didn't want to be a hypocrite. Stop, um, stop teaching Bible study. Um, gave my position as the women's leader to somebody else. Yeah. And my name was dragged through the mud, and I didn't say a word.
Well, but however, things have surfaced,
Yes.
which we won't talk about because I know we can't talk about it, but they have
Yet.
surfaced.
Yet. We can't talk
Yes,
about it yet.
yes, yes, yes. There will be a time when we can talk about it. So we'll leave that for another episode. But we
Yes.
haven't even scraped the surface of who you this is just like the beginning. This is just amazing, Zanetta. And I know we've been already speaking for an hour and
Oh,
10
we're
minutes.
an hour. Okay, we need to go.
But however, so you you didn't fly out. Just let us know how that, because that would have been so difficult for you. And I know you, when you did step out, from what you shared with me, you're on your own. You
Yeah.
were literally on your own with your kids, trying to feed your children and, feed yourself and give them an opportunity in life, right?
Yeah.
So, how did all that feel for you, and how did you make that move, and what gave you that push, that courage to just step out? Because I'm sure that would have crossed your mind many times before, but then until that point, obviously, that incident fueled you and gave you that ticket, but you still had to do it, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people want freedom, but they don't want to go through the process of getting freedom.
Correct.
A,
Yes.
a lot of people want fame, but they don't want to go through the process of getting that fame and the consequences and everything that comes with it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, he left me, and for the record, he's the one that divorced me. He thought that he could, call my bluff. and he thought that I wasn't going to sign it. I was so happy.
Celebration.
um, and I didn't know he took all the money and left me with debt. Yeah. So, but one thing that I did make sure that he was going to give me 5 years, 5 years, because I knew after 5 years I'll be okay. That in the divorce decree, the only thing that I wanted him to do was to pay the mortgage for 5 years. I didn't want any of his retirement. I didn't want any of his other stuff that alimony, whatever. No, I didn't want nothing, nothing of his money. Now looking back, I should have,
Mm.
but I
Could have
didn't
been a bit
want it.
weird. Yeah,
It could have been,
because
yeah, I could have had a better life. But I believe my struggle of, you know, not eating. Yeah.
yeah,
My
because
food, my food was, sometimes it would be, uh, sugar water.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Because I had to pay the bills. I had to pay
right.
the bills. I had to do what I had to do. Yeah. Make sure that my kids were okay. None of them knew what I was doing. None of them knew that I was struggling because I didn't want them to know. I, as the parent, as the mom, needed to take that on that responsibility. Yeah.
Mm.
I was asking for loans with from loan sharks. God, that was oof.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've done it. You've done it all, Zanetta, and this is just scraping the surface. Well, we're going to have part two,
Oh no.
part three. Oh,
No.
yes,
No.
absolutely. Because Zanetta, who's the business life strategist coach, how all this came about, and how I can see now, having known so much more about you, that, how everything just fits in perfectly together. And as to why you do what you are who you are. And, even I know currently you're also an investigator. So
Mhm.
there's many parts to you. There's just, as I said, this a rainbow of colors, and depending where you're at, these colors just shine through and emanate
Oh, wow. Nice.
who you are. So we're going to continue next week because as I said, we've only just. But in the meantime, we're going to put that video up and the book. The title of the book, Zanetta. Do you want to tell people about this book? Because I am sure people want to get this book.
Yes, it's called Unleashing the Power of Forgiveness.
Yes.
Yeah, it tells the story of um, my journey into finding forgiveness, true forgiveness.
Mm.
Yeah,
And it has been a big journey, hasn't it?
it has.
So
It
do you feel
has.
like when you finished writing that book, that really solidified that part of your life of unforgiveness? Like really,
No.
no. Okay.
Yeah, that's the shocker.
Okay.
No.
We will go
Um,
into that. Sorry. You want to go into it now? Or yeah, while we're on it? Okay.
well, because so my husband now, Jeff, um, he told me that I needed to write a book because I told him about my life and just a little portion of it, and he said you need to write a book, and it was hard. It was hard to write that book because I had to actually go back, and there are times where he would just hug me and say, it's okay. It's okay. You just need to continue to write this.
Mm.
And at that time, when I finished the book, um, I felt freedom. I felt like, wow, this is what, you know, true forgiveness is. I was like, yes, yes, this, no, no. The more I live, the more I realize that it's a lifestyle.
Mm. It is a lifestyle because situations will happen.
It will.
Incidents will come your way. You'll be put in certain scenarios.
Yes, yes.
And
And not only that, there are a lot of things that I don't remember, but
mhm,
then through conversation, and then it'll pop up, and I'm like, oh my. And then here we go again, the emotion of kind of anger and bitterness, and then I would try to catch myself now. Oh, that's the reason why that popped up, because that still hasn't been
mm,
resolved. Yeah.
mhm. And I guess you're working on it as always. You're always working on
Oh yeah. Yeah.
something. We're always working on something. It's forever. I think self-development, investing in self is a forever game. It never
Yeah.
stops. The more we dive deeper, the more we find out about ourselves, the more healing we go through. And life is, I believe it's easier. I believe it's smoother. It doesn't mean, like I said, we're not going to be able to prevent those situations coming, but we certainly are able to navigate through them better. We're certainly
Yeah.
able to act accordingly rather than react. And this is,
Right.
the old behavioral patterns that we have, that we go into reaction and
Hmm.
get triggered and allow these emotions to override us. Yeah. I it was really interesting. I know this is going off track because we're going to wrap up now, because next week we are going to continue.
Okay.
We're going so well. I'm just so happy, and I'm sure a lot of our audience, people out there that are watching and listening, are totally blown away by who you know what you have endured and what you've gone through in life, and look what's come out on the other side. I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be a part two to your book.
Yes. Yes. I'm
Is that
waiting for, yeah, I'm waiting for the opportunity to be able to speak about it.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And not to mention, you were asked by directors from the Philippines to have a movie
Yeah.
made on your book.
Based
Is that
based on
correct?
my life. Yeah. Hmm.
Right, right. So we'll talk about that as to where you are with that and whether you're going to go ahead with it. I know that's
Nope.
you're not going to go ahead with it. Okay, you've already made up your mind.
No, I'm still toying with it. Still toying with it. I'm still toying with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. When we toy, we can change our minds.
Yeah. We'll see.
Depends.
We'll
It
see.
depends because you're in a different place now than you were when it was first presented as well, right?
Right.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so thank you so much, Zanetta. Thank you for being so
You're welcome.
transparent, so, you know, real, because this is what it's about, knowing your influences, knowing, if you're following someone on YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is, on any social media platform, and we see and hear, but how much do we know about this person and what's brought them to do what they do today, right?
Right.
Um,
Everybody has a story.
everybody has a story, and I love stories. I love listening to stories. I love telling my story, sharing other people's stories. It's what we do best, and something that it's innate in us because it comes from our, ancestors, tribal era,
Mhm.
gathered around, and all we did was tell stories rather than tap away on our iPhones.
Right.
So this is
Yeah.
great. Next week, part 4, everybody. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have anything, please leave a comment. Let us know. And if you have any shares of your own that you can relate to some of the, stories we've told and what Zanetta shared part of her life, and you feel comfortable doing so, please do, because, this is a safe community, a place that we're just having conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can privately message us as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And if there's something that you want to ask more privately to Zanetta, pertaining to a story or to myself, absolutely. We're always here to be of service, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, Zanetta, till next week.
Yes. Until next week.
Yeah. We send you all lots of love.
Love and passion.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.